All you.
Good evening, everyone. This is December 28th, 2021, Shy Tech Night for December, last one this year. Uh, my name's Greg, WB7GR. I think everybody that's checked in knows me, but maybe somebody will watch this that doesn't. Tonight, I'm going to do my best to talk about some of the features in version 1.40 of the IC7300 firmware. I'm sorry. Um, I've had it for quite some time, and just recently, wow, I didn't know it did that. So I thought maybe there was somebody else out there that's just as far behind as I was, and I wanted to share some of those things that I thought was neat. Um, at the end of this, I'm going to go through the steps and do an upgrade to version 1.41. I don't remember when it was released, but I don't have it, just to show you guys how really simple it is to do that. Um, so let's just switch cameras. I got to turn some lights off and we'll get a 7300 up on the screen, and I'm going to go from there. Should be this one, I think. So lights off, and that should be more better. Although I feel like I'm squinting under the covers. I need a flashlight to see what I'm doing. The biggest change, everybody can see that okay, I hope, is in the scroll function on the scope. And it involves, there's two modes on the scope if you didn't know it, center and fixed, okay? The center mode, which I'm in, you can see center up here at the top, keeps my VFO frequency stays in the center of the screen, and the spectrum slides underneath it as you change frequency. That's nice, huh? Okay, wherever those guys went, they're gone. So that's center mode. And also when you're in center mode, you have an option called span, which is, in this case is currently set plus or minus 5 kHz either side of your VFO frequency. If I hit the scan button, it jumped, you see it got larger, jumped to 10K, 25K, 50K. Can you guys see that, or do I need to get in closer?
I'm good.
I can
And
see it.
Okay,
I
okay.
can see it just fine.
yeah, and just so people know, if you hover around up on the right hand corner, you can change the view from gallery to speaker. So if you're not getting just
Give you a
the one, you can change it to speaker, and you'll get just the radio then.
Okay, so that's center mode. In fixed mode, it does just the opposite. The spectrum is fixed, and if you, I don't know if you can see it, in this corner right here, there's two double green arrows. That means my cursor's off the screen to the right. So if I crank my VFO, I should be able to bring my, oh, that's way off. Oh, because I'm running from 7015 to 7060. So we got to come down a bit. There it is. See, my marker is back. You'll also notice that the marker is green. That's my receive frequency. If I hit the 2 option and hit marker, you should be able to see green and red. That's my transmit and my receive frequency. I'm not running split, so therefore they're on the same frequency. If I punch the split button, okay, come on, fingers. Marker. Let's hit red. Let's just do it that way. Okay, I'm showing my ignorance, so I'm going to back out of there. Oops, back to scope. I'm not real good on split, so we're going to avoid that. Trust me, when you have both markers on there and you're in split mode, they'll separate and tell you where you're at. So this is pretty much the way it was in version 1.3. There's nothing different so far. The difference that they added with 1.4 is if you hit the center, we're in fixed mode, if you hit the center/fix button and hold it, it now comes up and says scroll. Remember we had them green arrows before because I was off screen? Now if I scroll, when it gets to the far right, it's going to jump over here on the left side of the screen and come back in. So you don't have to remember, where in the heck did my marker go? So the scroll mode simply scrolls the spectrum underneath your marker. That's pretty neat, I think, because my eyeballs couldn't find them little double arrows, were pretty tough. Now, notice the span is gone and now we have edge. That's because I'm in, let me get out of the scroll mode. I didn't address that before. I'm in fixed mode. So in fixed mode, you have a frequency of 7035 to 7060. So that's where, and I'm off screen again because I'm not in scroll mode. There. So I can, it marks the edges since that spectrum doesn't move like it does in the center mode. It's fixed. So in fixed mode, you have edges. In center mode, you have span, so many kHz either side of the marker. But I'm not a big scope user. Oh, there's a guy, and I'll tune over there and listen to it. I don't rely on the scope. I'm usually set on a frequency and call CQ, and I'm there. But for those that are search and pounce and hunting around, when I'm doing that in a CW contest or something, I might use it for that. But those are the most improved features on the scope is the scroll function, so you can keep track of your marker. The other thing that version 1.4 added, if I hit menu, this number 2 that's kind of darkened didn't exist. Version 1.4 gave you a second page of menus, and the set stays there. You have set on both pages, but it adds preset, and these are for future expansion. Who knows what Icom's going to come up with. If you hit the preset mode, you have a total of 5 presets. So as I was kind of explaining earlier, you got the radio all tweaked up and it's perfect and it's just the way I like to use it. I got everything, all my filters set, my VFOs, my memories. I got everything I want. So I want to keep this. And to do that, you would simply, I press and held number 3 and it opened up edit or save. So everything in my radio, if I hit save preset to memory, these are all the things you can save, all the different features and functions, which would vary whether you're in CW mode, sideband mode, data mode, RIDI, whatever mode you're in. So assuming everything's tweaked and I got it the way I want it, all I got to do, I don't want to cancel the edit. Where's the save button? Cancel edit, nope. Right, I'll write it, I'll say yes. It'll ask me, it should have asked me what I want to call it, because you can name it. Preset name, I forgot to name it. There, it says Greg in the corner, if you can see it. It doesn't look too good on my screen. But anyway, so you got 5 different ones, whether you're playing, let's say you're a RIDI contester, or you're like FT8. You don't like the factory settings, you can overwrite the FT8. So that's the presets that were added in the version 1.4. Personally, I don't do much with them. I have used the FT8, it worked okay for me, but I'm not a big FT8 person. So what else was added? FT8 preset, 5 presets. Some of the icons have been rearranged. The clock is in a different spot. The SD card marker's in a different spot. It's all really, who cares? I found it minimal, and they rearranged that screen to make some other stuff fit, which will come up here in a minute. Does anybody here use the band stacking registers? Does everybody know what a band stacking register is? Okay, there's 3 of them on each band. I don't know what I'm listening to here, but let's get we're going to go and turn the reference value down so we don't got all that hash on the screen. If you tap the megahertz, it opens up a pad so that you can change to whatever band you want. Now there's 3 band stacking registers. Let's say I'm listening to somebody on 7035 and there was a sideband signal on 7250 and I was listening to data or PSK 31 on 7075. If I hit 7, I'm going to go to another register, 7272, 7042, 7035, and now I'm going to be back to 72. You see how it goes around? There's 3, like a scratch memory or a memo pad. They call it band stacking registers. So I'm here tuning around, and I find some guy at 7200. Okay, so I go to a different register, and I go, there's a guy at 7050. And I'm putzing around here just to show you that they're actually stored. We'll get this guy up at 7.05, somewhere down at the low end. That'll work. So now you can see as I step through the registers, it saved those frequencies just like a scratch pad. Well, my brain can't remember where I left and what was next and which one I wanted. One of the features that was added, and this was there before, but with 7.4 or 1.4, if you press and hold the 7, the megahertz, it just now popped up with all 3 registers. I found that was pretty neat because I'll do that. I'll be listening to some CW guy and I'm waiting for my turn. I'm waiting for him to finish up with RJ so that I can get in and get a contact. Oh, I wonder what Tom's doing up on the other frequency. So I go to sideband and I'm up there. I found that pretty neat. So that was a new feature of version 1.4. The last one on my notes is key customization. Let me. And if you don't know what version you have, I turn the radio off. Down in the lower right corner here, when I turn it on, it'll say 1.40. You can also find that in the menu, set, other, information, version. There's all of your DSP, main CPU, front bars, all your versions of all your software in the radio. But simple way is just turn it on and watch the corner and you got, I got 1.3, I got 1.4, I got 1.41. Key customization, I'm gonna have to look at my notes because I got a front key customization. Okay, the chart was really confusing. There are some keys on the front panel, such as Vox break-in, the auto-tune button, which I don't think you can see because of the shadows in here. Memory channels up, down, can be reprogrammed to a function that you like. I don't have anything in memory, so the memory up-down buttons doesn't do Greg any good. If I like, I can reprogram those buttons to pull up voice keyers. That's about all you can really do with them is pull up voice keyers. The voice keyers, you record. In fact, I have some recorded. Let's see. Voice. There's transmit 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 8 memory deals, right? So you see I had to go to menu, voice, and now I could, am I on a dummy load? I'm on a dummy load. Let's turn the power down to none. And if I press, okay, I'm in lower sideband, 7200, that should work.
Please copy Greg, Wyoming. Greg in Wyoming, over.
So that was saved to a voice memory. So if you're playing contest,
Whiskey Bravo 7, Golf Romeo.
the radio will transmit your stored message. I had to go menu, voice, and then select the one I want. So if I'm using CQ all the time, or I'm using my exchange all the time, I could store that to an up-down button, to the Vox break-in button, to the, I guess that's it, memory channel up-down, auto-tune. But I use those other functions. So for me, I don't see a benefit. I can go to the screen, and I don't know if you can see it, I got a message, CQ 2 times, exchange, my call. I prefer this screen. So it's just another feature that you have. You can program this button to send that no matter what you're in. If I change modes to CW, let's not do that. Let's just press and hold this, go back to CW on that band stacking. And now if I send, okay. Way to go, Greg. What am I doing here? Here, there we go, right memory. So it's stored in there. You can program those keys. You can also program keys on the microphone, the up-down buttons. You can use that, program them to send those messages. You can program them to do other functions like band up, band down, change the mode. I don't even have a microphone plugged in. But that's another feature that was added in version 1.4, some of those customizations. If you're, hey, I'll put message 1 on up and message 2 on down. I don't even have to touch the radio. I can just press the button, it'll call CQ, and press 2 and it'll give the response. Now, the last item, which I don't find my notes on, let's see if I can remember how to do it, is the one I use the most, one of the new features. In the upper right corner here, the multi-knob is right now on kHz mode. That's the default function of that knob. So when I turn it, you can see the frequency changing 1 kHz at a time. Okay? Let's say that, I don't know, you're having antenna troubles or whatnot. You're a guy that fiddles with the power all the time. Just something you like to do. So to do that, I'm going to get back to a normal mode here, get the scope back on. I want to change my power level. So let me get some meters on. Would you believe I forgot? This is pretty silly. Somebody help me out. I'm doing something terribly wrong here, guys. You know what? Go ahead, I hear somebody.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why it's blanked out like that. It might be just time for an on and off.
Did you turn the power down to 0?
I did just a minute ago, remember? There it is. Okay, so it's really pretty easy. You just punch the button and power up and down. I don't know what, maybe because I loaded that other preset. But I don't want that knob to be kHz. I want it to be my power level adjust on the front of the radio. So if I press the power button that's illuminated and hold it for a second, look at can you see what the label says now? RF power. And my power goes from 0 to 100%. To go back to the default, press and hold, and it's back to kHz. What I do use that for, let me get back down to, Okay, let's get off the dummy load. Let's see if we can find a signal. Well, the band's pretty darn dead. Well, let's go down to the noisy band. Looking for a CW signal. You think I could find one? Can't be anybody on 20 meters this late. Anyway, what I use it for is the notch position. I use that frequently on CW to notch out the background noise. And that's the one I usually have programmed on this knob. But let me get the list and see. You can't do everything on that knob, but there's a whole long list.
Hey, Greg, while you're pulling that up, I use that. I put it for power on my 9700, and I use that all the time because there's some satellites you got to pound with power. There's other satellites that if you give them more than 1 watt, so I'm always changing. But you're right, you can change that. That knob that's one of the best features that they changed.
And I don't seem to have it in my notes. Mic key customization. Oh, well, there is a list somewhere in the updated manual that says what commands you can. Just about, and I'm going to set it back, and just about anything. This one I use too. If I'm playing around, the key speed. So there's 14 words a minute, 20, so that one's a very useful feature if you're a CW person. I can't remember what else you can do, but that's a programmable button for the function that you use most. That pretty well sums up all of the features involved with 1.4. Now, 1.41, where is it? I must have printed out an old one. 1.41 adds a PTT interrupt. If you're in the middle of those voice commands, where I pressed the button and it said CQ, CQ, this is, or 599, whatever you got saved in there and recorded, they added a feature where, oh crap, I pushed the wrong button. You hit the PTT on the mic and it cancels it. That's the only additional feature added by 1.41. And I was going to go through that and show you how to upgrade to 1.41 if anybody's interested, or should we skip that?
Yeah, Greg, if you're gonna do it anyway, let's go ahead and see what's involved.
Okay, looks like I'm back to the other camera. And I'm going to get this over here. Nope, I don't want that. Bear with me, guys. I got to move some screens around. Okay. There's two ways to do this. You can use the SD card in your radio. You'll save your current settings just in case. Take that card out, put it in your computer, write the data file to it, and put it back. I got an extra card. So that's what I'm going to do for this demo. This is a tiny little 256 megabyte card, and it's more than adequate to do this job. So with that, let me hit the share screen button. Everybody see my Google desktop thingy? Okay.
Yep.
IC7300 firmware is all I'm searching for. I guess you got to hit the enter key. It doesn't know what you want. And I'm going to go to the Icom Japan website. Simple, stupid. Bada bing, bada boom. Look at there. Firmware version 1.41. Here's the changes. Add the set item to detect microphone PTT during transmission other than microphone PTT. So if it's sending a signal, you know, that recording. Oh, it does have another one. I stand corrected. When in center mode, the spectrum scope, the reference level does not reflect the waveform. So they fixed that, whatever that is. First thing I would do is download the information sheet, save it to a place on my drive, which I've already done. And go down, here's the manual download for the entire manual that includes the firmware updates.
Hey, Greg, before you move on, it looks like if you go back up to where you were at, it said that it doesn't change. Let's see, firmware update version 1.41 has been approved, so it will not reset settings and memories.
Right.
Oh,
They still recommend you save it.
If it's updated from 1.40.
Right. So if you got 1.3 and you go directly to 1.4 or 1.41, yeah, it'll wipe out your memories.
Got it.
Which is why they go through and now they warn you to save it first. Save your stuff to the SD card. So down here at the bottom, it says, yeah, I read and agreed and all that, and I'm going to download it. So where you want to put it? Okay. Ham stuff. Icom 7300. It's already there. I was going to ask me if I want to overwrite it, probably. It went there. Now I'm going to go to the folder. Or that, or it's still downloading. Let's see. My internet connection is, well, we're on Zoom. And okay, there it finally showed in folder. There it is. I'm going to extract it. And I want to extract it to, oh man, you're going to make me hunt and peck. I'm going to extract it to this file, this empty folder. Yeah, fine, replace it. Okay, so I've downloaded the 7300 141 data file, which somebody asked when was it out. Obviously, it must have been June of 2021. So what do we do next? I got the file. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the, unshare. I think I got to stop share. I'm going to go back to the other camera. Okay, I'm going to turn this off, remove my SD card. Now this SD card that I've already lost, here it is, has got some other trash on it, Windows format. I don't remember what's on it, maybe a picture, I don't know. So I'm going to go through the motions here, turn the radio back on, and let me go back to the dummy load and get rid of all that noise. Menu, set, SD card, format. I know that this SD card is set up for Windows use. I want to format it by the 7300 just to avoid any pitfalls. All done. Turn it off. I'm going to eject the card. I'm going to stick it in my computer. And this is an important step. So I'm going to screen should be shared again. There's the disk, removable disk H. When I inserted it, my Windows opened up the file. you need to double click 7300 and put it in here. If you put it in the root directory, the radio won't find it. It's got to be in the IC 7300 folder. So I'm going to drag that across the side. I'm going to take this file and I'm going to bring it over here and I'm going to drop it in there. So there's the data file for the upgrade. Okay. Now I will, okay, can't go there. Let me get another deal here. It was H.
So Greg, when you formatted, did it also download all of the current settings? It looks
No,
like
it did not.
folders in there.
It did not. It simply formatted it and did the folders. Has no data on it, no recordings, no settings. He just set up the file, set up the file system. Blah, 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 blah. What am I doing? Oh, I was going to eject my little SD card, and it says have a ball. So the only reason I wanted to do that was so that you could see to put it in the file folder, not in the root directory. You had to open it. So now I'm going to stick it back in the radio. I'm going to turn it on. And it would be the same. I mean, you might as well get one. If you haven't upgraded, if you've already upgraded to 1.4, don't know if this is any benefit to you. If you're still on 1.3, I would recommend you go for the Gusto. Menu, set, SD card. Look at there, firmware update. I'm going to tap that, and I don't think you can read that. That's it looks blurry on my screen. Updating the firmware is very risky. If you make a mistake, the IC 7300 may not operate properly. Repair at Icom may be the only way to fix it. You undertake the operating at your own risk. Refer to the firmware homepage, instructions, correct procedures, blah, 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 page 2. Also, previously set conditions, the memory contents, etc. will be lost when making a firmware update. Making a backup of the program contents of the setting onto the card before updating is recommended. Do you agree? There's that note that came up that you saw, Mark, where it said, depending on what version you're coming from, you could lose everything. So it's asking me if I want to make a backup. Fine, make a backup. Completed. That was that easy. Okay. Now it brought up the firmware version. Boy, it's really blurry. You guys can't read that, can you? Wow. I don't know what happened to the camera. Why we got... I had a pretty good screen before. It says 7300 underscore. Maybe if I tape off, no, I can't go off it. 141. I'm going to tap it. Updating the firmware will take approximately 1 minute. I really wish you guys could see this. Now that didn't help. You know what? I'll bet since I'm not, it went back to a bright screen. It's just washing out. Never turn off the 7300 until the frequency screen is displayed, and never remove the SD card. Do you wish to start the update? Yes. And nothing happened. Nothing happened. That's because in the manual that tells you how to do it, it says press and hold the yes button for 1 second. Checking the file, please wait, updating main CPU, and it's counting down in seconds. The firmware has completed, will automatically restart. So I'm going to go to menu, set, SD, others, information, version. Can you see that now? We just updated that radio to 1.41. It's that easy. What did it take us? About, if I'd have shut up and hadn't been talking, it would have taken about 4 or 5 minutes, 4 minutes. So download the firmware, put it on the SD card. And like I say, I prefer to use 2 SD cards just because I'm anal. You know, okay, I'll just make sure my settings are over here and put them aside. You don't have to do that, but whatever mows your lawn, you know what I mean? And let me get this thing off. What am I doing? Camera, pick the right camera, Greg. Okay, fellers. Was that confusing, or did anybody find that useful or not useful? I mean, it's uh, the function of that button is pretty awesome to me. That was the biggest thing. And the fact that the band stacking registers, press the megahertz button and hold it, and it opens up a window. It tells you where all your registers are. Oh, I want the CW one. Oh, I want the sideband one.
You almost make me want to go get a 7300 now, but I go
You
buy
got the
another radio. Little
991,
mom's
don't
gonna
you?
kill me. Yeah, I
You
do.
got the, yeah.
I
Well,
do like the all-in-one.
you and Tom could do an episode.
Well, there is a function on the 991A that's kind of like your band stacking. So I'm actually surprised that Icom didn't implement that sooner.
Well, they had the band stacking, but you had to step through them one at a time. And it would work just fine. That's the way my Yaesu in the basement is. I got a band button, and I just push the 7 megahertz button, 1, 2, 3, and I can see all 3, and it just rolls through them. But with the touchscreen, tap, go, tap, go, tap and hold it. There they are. Hi, Steve. Good to see you.
And the other thing is it's all this stuff is pretty universal across the Icom line. So the 9700 is almost identical. The 705 is very similar. So if you got any one of those radios, this really kind of they tend to. So when the 705 came out, it had that multifunction knob.
Yep.
When it came out, and then like a month later is when they pushed out the firmware update for the 7300 and the 9700. The other one I just wanted to mention is that you were talking about the buttons, Greg. There is a breakout box that's in the new QST for this month, and it's made by Soda Beams. Yeah. And if you're doing any sort of contesting or anything, it's kind of a cool little thing. So for me, like my radios are up above where my computer sits, and so I got to reach up there every time. Whereas if you had this little breakout box, you can set it right next to you. I think it's $85 from Soda Beams, or the Ham Cured Smoke guy on YouTube built one of his own that you could watch. Just another little one.
Ham Cured Smoke, you can't beat that guy. K0 IPR also has a ton of videos on both the 9700 as well as the 7300, and they're very informative on how to do all that, especially on the upgrades. They'll walk you through it much better than I did. But you see some guy on YouTube do it, and you think, well, okay, but here we just did it live. It's not hard. Now, if you haven't done it, there's other ways to do it. I did a video on a couple of months back on this gem. Oh, I didn't share screen, did I? Am I sharing screen?
Yep, you are.
So here's all those voice and data. I can just press a button here on the screen and send them. Same thing with power out. I just drag the slider up and down. So there's more than one way to skin a cat. And Josh, they've got this for the 97 or the 891. The Win for Yaesu is it looks the same. You really can't tell much difference. Unfortunately, this is a pay program. It's $60 a one-time purchase. But this is Win for Icom, Win for Yaesu, Win for K2. They don't have a Kenwood one, surprisingly.
Yeah, I was actually looking at picking that up. I don't know if you can see back off that way, but there is a monitor up there with all the radios in the center.
So. Oh yeah, above the lights.
Yep. So that would actually make some things a little bit easier.
In my opinion, it's worth the $60, but opinions are like elbows. Everybody's got two. I guess unless anybody's got questions, punch the stop record button, RJ. Anybody got any questions or anything? See something again or something you didn't understand that I talked about?